Hello and welcome to part 5 of Let's Build a Car. And everything's going very well, although there's a really nasty screw up with the paint in the garage under artificial light. It looks full and nice. In the daylight you can see through it on the bottom of the roof, which means I'm going to need to repaint it, but that's not going to be until later in the year or maybe never. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But we'll start with some colour sanding and buffing of our little STARlie. I think the first thing to do now, we'll just throw a blanket or a sheet or something over here, because when we're buffing we'll get lots of white compound sort of spitting all over the place, and I don't want it going on any of this stuff. Now this doesn't look too bad, but the best way to see it is with dry paper. You can see that? That's orange peel. The idea of this is to get all that off and get it down to the bottom of the pits, and we do that with, we do it wet. This is an exercise in wet sanding. I've lost the bit of footage I had. I was doing the front guard, so if we're at the front guard, then we've gone to the bonnet, then we're going back to the front guard. That's the reason for it. This is 2000 grit. This is a soft pad, a very flexible piece of foam, a soft block. 2000, did I mention that? Lots and lots of water with a drop of dishwashing liquid in it at the same time. And the problem with wet sanding, you think you're there, you've got to be careful that you don't go through. That white stuff's just clear coat, and we're trying to get rid of the orange peel. I think I mentioned that in another video. But it's just something you can't rush, even though I am rushing this car. I'm really rushing it, which is the reason I've made some mistakes. So I just wonder if there's anything else I need to say. You can't see how well you've gone. I've lost my rag. Until you dry it and you actually see the pits and lands of the orange peel. It doesn't matter that much if there's a few in there, but it does become obvious. And you know, there's a couple of scratches. This bonnet had a tiny crease in it, and there it is there, and I didn't even bother fixing it. It goes down to the fact that it's a bit of an educational tool, and a thing to transport Mum around in, because she can't move much anymore, and it's one of the few cars she can fit in, or at least get herself into, if you know what I mean. All right, so what we've got it sort of wet sanded down where we want it. This is a filthy old pad on the buff. Now, these ones are available in different colours. There's white ones that are harder than this. There's orange ones. This is a black one, so soft, but you see it's delaminating. Best thing to do with that is to pitch it. It's filthy actually. Got a new one here. This is from Milsom's in Country Gully. I use them quite well, all my paint supplies. These things will shave down when you hit a hole, so just be careful how you use it. The compound is refinished, compound 4800. They don't make this anymore, it's now compound 5000, it's Cartec. And Nielsen sell it around $68 a bottle, and you'll get God knows how many cars out of that. Here's a buff. I've got it set up on 3. I would normally have it a bit under 3 on speed. It goes up to 6. It's like an angle grinder. It's a slow start. This is a soft pad. It's a dirty one too, but this is a soft pad, the black one. You can get like orange ones and white ones. The white one's quite hard. I use a soft pad because I'm not great at this, and so you get more. It does less buffing, but also less burning. There's a real art form to buffing. The most important thing is to look at the direction of rotation here and run it off the edge. Because if you run it into the edge, it'll all burn through. I've probably got too much compound there. And coming off the edge there. Well, we're going to STARlie with glass. Started buffing it. Done this guard here. And the door. But, oh, sorry, I haven't done the rear quarter yet. Done the roof. That's how you judge, or that's how I do. This isn't perfect by any means, but if you can see good clarity around the lights, fluoros and all that sort of stuff will show up any imperfections you have, which doesn't matter on this car so much because it's a daily hack. Alright, there's still dull spots in it. I'm just sort of spot polishing or spot buffing. There's a little bit there. And there's a bit there. I'll just go over it again. Whoops. There's not much left in that bottle, but there hasn't been much left in that bottle for a long time, but it looks like I'm going to do the whole car out of it. Let's get any dried compound off here. Still dull there. Hang on. Yeah, it's still not good there. There's a little spot which I can't get off. Well, I can, but I'm just going to be a little bit more aggressive, I suppose. But I don't want to be. There's a fine line between it cutting well and burning paint. So I'll go here. Getting there. So this car's full of faults. You can see along the top of the guard there's a dent still there. But it's not looking too bad. Another thing we can do, we've got these side markers and they're faded. Or at least they're flat and it won't look good against the car. I haven't cleaned these. You can just take the gasket off, clean it up with a toothbrush. Get a bit of water and just take any deep scratches off, and they're just plastic and we're not going to get carried away with that. Just make it nice and flat. That's probably enough there, and give him a bath. Just hope they don't float in my hand. How they went. Like a brand new one. Soft, shiny, everything. So we do that to our lights before we put them back in and get that white stuff everywhere, but that will look a lot better. Second, the only way you can see this is under light. There was something I saw. See there, there's kind of pock marks. I don't know if you can see them. That means I haven't wet sanded there enough. There's that. Can you see that? There's a hole there. Not a hole, but a blemish. I just don't think it matters. But you know what? I'm going to leave it at that. I don't see why you would bother going any further for a car like this. I'm not bagging the car. I love these little cars, but you know, it's going to be my hack and something I can drag my mother around in if she ever bloody recovers. That's not too bad. I could probably do better on that edge there, but I'm pretty happy. As we said, we haven't finished the roof to here. I haven't done the rear quarters, so I'm getting sick of buffing. I don't enjoy it. So I think what we'll do now is put its face back on the front. That's probably not a bad idea. That gives you an idea of the level of sheen. We can see the Plymouth wheel in some detail. And but that'll sort of fade off. This is acrylic, so it will fade back. I'll have to give it another buff, maybe in 12 months. And then it'll retain a lot of its gloss for a while. Right, STARlie's only got one eye, so it's time for the second one. These lights, genuine Toyota, they're both. I've noticed that quite often, some of them don't look as clear. That one doesn't look quite as clear as that one. Like the reflector's a little bit milky. I had a very clear one, but it was a non-genuine one, and I stuck it on the red car. You're always better with a genuine part to a non-genuine one because the reflector's got more, it's engineered better. We're going to use this one, yeah. But you'll notice that that's a little bit, it's only probably not come up with the camera as well as it does on the naked eye. The pale blue car I had, actually, it failed the first examination with the roadworthy because the guy that couldn't align the headlight properly because of that milkiness. It was blurring on the chart. So he knocked it back, so I came and took the headlight out of the other one and stuck it on and went back. And he goes, oh yeah, good. I don't know why it's like that. Probably because the left-hand lights in an accident are the ones that are going to be hit before the right. And the right ones sort of survive more, which is why they might just be older. This is filthy, this thing. I need to get this thing off, this boot. Just a minute. What have we got? I'm going to have to take this off and give it a bit of a clean. The rubber's a bit stuck. There we go. I'm just going to pop that light out, the globe. That looks alright. Oops. And we'll put him in here. Shouldn't pick him up like I just did, but damage is done. I didn't touch anything. Life's good. That will only go, the H4 globe will only go one way. So we just try it, and it was like putting a head gasket on. You try it all different ways, and then it reaffirms the fact that it only goes in one way. I have to take that off. I'll get some pliers and take that out. This light I'll put into storage because it looks grotty, but if I smash one, at least I've got a spare to tie me over. Looks manky, doesn't it? We won't use that. We'll put that in there and tape that off again. Right. There's a bit of dark blue from the original car, original colour. These things here just go in. That's an adjuster ball socket thing. Normally, that thing there is just a post, and so you just basically slide the headlight in and push it in. Very easy, but the post is stuck in that one. I don't want to damage it, so I'm going to do it the very slow and unconventional way and just sort of rotate it in when I get the light in. We just grab the light, and that will go over that post, sorry, into this post first, then over that one, and we'll just screw that one in. It's a pain in the neck doing it this way, but what do you do? Actually, I think I'm going to go. Maybe I can't do it that way. Oh yeah. There we go. I'll just rotate that one in. And use a spanner to tighten it, and that will hold it all in. Ooh, the same story. My globe cabinet's run out, so I had to buy a bulk pack of these. There's that one. And that comes up from underneath. Hang on a second, let me just get that screw out. These are a pair of spare indicators I bought from the wrecker because they were there. I didn't need them. Alright, so we just plug him in from underneath. It's only going one way. You just have to rotate him until it gets the right way. There we go. And that sits, I've made sure I had a good clip there. That kind of comes under the guard and plugs in, and then it sits over the top of that post, and then we get a screw stick and we put it in, and then it should look good. Right, now we'll just have a bit of a look and see if some lights work. The indicators will still flash quickly because we haven't got the rear lights in yet. Rightio, we've got those lights on, that's cool. And those guys. Oh, look. There's some life. And yeah, we're looking reasonably tasty. I've got some tape over that. I've just got to give it another quick buff around there. I'm not happy with it. Headlights. They're all good. And high beam. We can actually see from above. That's all good. Fine. And the blue is all lit up at the back, so that's cool. Sweet. That looks really, really good. Okay. It must be time for the bumper. Right. Just going to try and wing this. Where do these go? That goes up there. We should be locating bits and pieces. I didn't know why the bumper wasn't lining up properly, and I left these bolts in here, in the bracket. I thought it'd be a safe place to put them, and then forgot promptly how it all fitted. Or to take them out, I should say. So I'll just button this thing down. Sometimes you lose parts. The button that went in there, I don't know if it broke. This is VL Commodore, and it just is absolutely made for it. Now where's the other screw that I've just put down somewhere? There it is. So we're going to bolt the rest of this up, and then we have a bumper. That looks pretty good, doesn't it? This is where you know you're getting lazy. Light clutch setting on your drill. And just button these up. Just double checking the thing. I just couldn't be bothered lying here and there. That was actually not a bad guess. That's not bad. Right, when you go to Toyota and buy stickers, they come like that. Apparently I've got the last 4. They ordered them in for me. This is a couple of years ago when I got the pale blue car, and they're designed to fit. It's a sort of a template. So on the boot lid, that's the edge of the boot lid there. That's the lock, and so it fits the back. And the side, it just uses this cutout for the side marker line. It fits. I'm just gonna do this just so I know roughly where it's meant to be. I'm gonna have to stand back. Oh, I haven't got that level, have I? Hang on. Just to make sure I've got it where I want it, so I know roughly. I think that's about right there. And I'm using aftermarket ones from the STARlie shop on eBay, and they're great. They're fantastic, and that way I don't have to use this one. The gap between that and the bottom is roughly the same, so it's going to be something like that. I've just forgotten the L. The corner of the L, oops, is that level? Is around there, at the top of that bit there, so I can just sort of judge it, and then we can sort of go about putting that one on, knowing that the corner of the L is there, something like that. So it should fit something like that, yeah. Oops, hang on a minute, and I'm using it's not a very good way of doing it. I'm not particularly good at doing this sort of thing. I reckon it's there. I reckon that's level. Let me move it down a bit. That'll do. With these, we have to take the clear off. And you can see the L is stuck to the back, or the E is stuck to the back. We're just going to squeeze it down a bit to make sure it all comes off with the clear section of tape. We can put our fingers behind the clear bit. That was around there somewhere, wasn't it? Is that going to be level there? I might be out there a bit, but we can't afford to give a rat's. And I'm just going to pop these, and these are I was going to put these on actually. I wanted the back ones and noticed he had them, but not just that. It's sort of significant to poor old mum, because life is something she kind of needs more of at the moment. So for me, and it's a positive thing, you know, it's not like those blasted, what are they called? The Skoda Superb. I mean, really? This is happier. Right, so let's just take this clear off, and we should get left with some Lifey Life stickers. And so I don't damage them, I'm just going to pull it back on itself. And we're looking all right so far. And we just keep going. Hopefully don't pull paint, because that clear is reasonably sticky stuff. And that is a little STARlie Life. It's like total arse. I'll just stick some of this stuff on it, just to dolly it up. And we're just doing this for the photo for the video. because this is not a score video, this one, and I've got one of our dirty, cheap, super cheap auto hubcaps, but I'll tell you what, they don't look bad on these cars. Alloys would be nicer, but we don't care about that. Hang on. Oh no. I've got to do the bonnet. I haven't done that yet. Hang on, I'll show you. So all the inner guards and stuff isn't on yet, and that's just really, really quick. But it'll give you some idea what the thing looks like. And we've got to do the bonnet, because stupid head here, I forgot. Interestingly, I thought the scuttle, I've got the scuttle and I thought it was all faded, but I reckon I can bring that back. Probably even use some of that silicone crap on this too. I've got these trims from the wreckers. These are brilliant condition. And that's for the rear quarter, for the rear. But we're not going to fit out the interior yet. It looks nice, doesn't it? I'm happy with how it looks. I might have to get a receptacle for that. I wonder if I've got a plug or something that'll fit. Just a moment. It looks like the Falcon door trim or door card securing plastic things will go in there. Here's a couple of spare of the door trim things for the XC, and they fit nicely. I might be able to put a plug in there so that I can actually put a screw in rather than a push button clip. We'll have a look. I'll put this slimy silicone crap on here. I wouldn't put it on any painted surface, but I think it sort of slots. Where does it go? Where do these go? It goes under the hinge, does it? I can't remember. It goes kind of there. Yeah, it sits down like that, right, okay. So, I want to put this in before the bonnet so I can rest. I'll just throw rags in each corner and rest the bonnet down. I've just got to find what I do with the screws and clips, because I just don't remember. I'll screw these up anyway. And, there's one I'm fussy about doing in the scuttle because you can see it, you know. And the disappointing part with this car is in the garage under the fluoros, the paint looks lovely, but out in the daylight, the paint's too thin on the roof. I'm probably going to have to repaint it because it's sort of transparent. There's enough clear and everything on it, buffed and all that sort of stuff well, but just the fact I can see through the colour on the roof, you know, that's a job for later. I'm not going to bother at the moment, but it is disconcerting because the car looks lovely. Yeah, that's not in. They're slightly longer, I think, the ones that are meant to go in here. Let me just try and figure. Oh, this one's broken. Hang on a minute. What do you think? Now the bonnet. You can see how bad this is, right? It's all good, all good, all good. I haven't started yet. Yeah, so I got to do the back. Haven't done the back yet. And you can see the sheen level. Look at that red thing, that oil bottle. See? The issue I've got is I put the guns and everything away. I'm going to have to drag them out in because I've got to paint this rear bumper for the Bluey. I couldn't be bothered fixing this. It's all craze, paint has to come off. And that perfect bumper was $35 from the wreckers. So there's a couple, there's a wave in it, but it's a molded plastic. You can see that wave there? There. So it's been hit, but hasn't upset the paint on it. I don't really care. I'm just going to repaint it white. Stick it on the back of the Bluey. Bluey's a pain in the ass because she scored a sunroof leak as well. So I pulled carpet up, but it's all good. It was just a tiny blockage, like a blossom, a leaf off a blossom, if you know what I mean. Those really thin membrane type leaves. Blocked the drain. It was full and overflowed, so I just sort of prodded around and all the water went out. So pain in the bum. So I've got to get working on this. So that'll come straight after the STARlie. Got to get the bikes done too, because winter is sort of next week. But I hope you like it. Starlets aren't really a draw card for views, but I really enjoy this one. It's been a very easy job so far. Putting silicone on that scuttle panel trim was a dumb idea. I never thought about it washing up into the windshield and making it hard to see over. I can't see what I'm doing. Maybe just stick it on like that. I'm in your way, but I'll move. And then work my way over here. There we go. There we go. Get some bolts. Again, I check the depth of these. all sorts of compound underneath it. And just wipe it off. Scratch that. Bugger it, I'll scratch those bits. That was the sawhorses they were on. Okay. Roughly there, let's see if this thing closes straight. Let's just lower this gently. Am I close? Okay. Needs to go over that way a bit. It's got a dull spot there. Right there. And one up the side. I can see it a bit better now. How does it look from this angle? Let's lift this up and give it a heave over there. Right, so I just need to... Yeah, I've got to drop on the hinge there. That side's spot on, so I'll just adjust that. I'm going to push it back on the hinge that way, and that'll close that gap up and move it toward the back a bit. So a lot of people have seen my videos on what they've done with these little STARlies, and I don't want to sound like a broken record. These are the two cars that were disposed of through Toyota. They bought them back. The burgundy one you see there, they issued or gave us $2,400. The pale blue one, $2,300. The rear quarter above the rear wheel, or to just forward of the rear wheel, was stoved in by a lady over the road, but she was honest and left her number, so I didn't bother chasing it up. I just let it go. So a lot of parts were taken off these two cars and recycled into our little project car. And although our little project car looks nice and neat here, that was the advertisement photograph the seller took. He wet it first because they always look better when they're wet. The car had a high mileage and was pretty well worn out. There were a lot of parts needed replacing, but of course we didn't bother replacing them with new stuff. We replaced it all with stuff from those other cars, or parts from those other two cars. I've got a costing sheet, sort of a rough one, and some parts are doubled up because some of the parts I took from those first two cars I've sort of put into inventory and decided to keep for a future build. So although we've got to screw up with the paint, we're basically ending up with a car that looks brand new. The environmental side of it, I've used single stage non-toxic paint. There's no isocyanates in it. There's no nasties, anything like that. It's designed for DIY type use. It's not as hardy or as robust, I suppose, as the 2-pack products, but we do have to keep it safe. And being that, well, given that we've used all these second-hand parts, the total build cost of this has been something like $250 when you factor in all the parts that were bought for those other cars that have been removed and put into this one. You'll see a scrolling sort of account of what's been taken. There are double ups, as I've said, because there were some parts put into inventory, but you know, it's turned out being very, very good, very reasonable. Also, given that the total cost of those first two vehicles that were bought back, and that includes everything aside from registrations and petrol, you can see a list here of all the stuff I've taken. It just means these three cars, the first two and the project one, has a total cost of, I think, $253. There will have to be another $180 or so accounted for a roadworthy certificate. But, you know, I just thought it'd be interesting putting this down from a sustainability viewpoint. So, look, I hope you've enjoyed this. Take good care of yourselves, and I shall see you soon. What do you reckon? Shit. Shit.